Morning. My name is Ruben Shoup, and I am the author of Vampire Juice. Today, we are continuing our story of The Last Vampire. Okay, and what has happened? We have Trista, a 5,000-year-old vampire, and we have a private investigator who is investigating her. And what does Trista do? She kills him. He knows too much information. And we can't have that, can we? All right. So let's start. Now, my situation is more complicated than when I arrived at the detective's office. I know someone is after me and have destroyed my main lead to him or her. Quickly, I go through Riley's desk and fail to find anything that promises to be a lead, other than Riley's home address. The reason is sitting behind the desk as I search. Riley has a computer, and there is little doubt in my mind that he stored his most important records on the machine. My suspicion is further confirmed when I switch on the computer and it immediately asks for the access code. Even though I know a great deal about computers, more than most experts in the field, I doubt I can get into his databanks without outside help. I pick up the picture of the father and son. Again, they are posed beside a computer. Riley Jr., I suspect, must know the access code. I decide to have a talk with him. After I dispose of his father's body, my exercise in cleanup is simplified. The fact that Riley has no carpet on his office floor. A brief search of the office building leads me to a closet filled with janitorial supplies, mop and a pail and a bucket in hand. I return to Mr. Riley's office and do the job his secretary probably resented doing. I have with me from the closet 2 big green plastic bags, and I slip Riley into them. Before I leave with my sagging burden, I wipe away every fingerprint I have created. There isn't a spot I haven't touched that I don't remember. The late hour is such a friend. It has been for so many years. There is not a soul around as I carry Riley downstairs and dump him in my trunk. It is good, for I am not in the mood to kill again, and murder for me is very much tied to my mood, like making love even when it is necessary. My fare is a town on the Oregon coast, chilly this late in autumn, enclosed by pine trees on one side, salt water on the other. Driving away from Riley's office, I feel no desire to go to the beach, to wade out beyond the surf, to sink the detective in deep water. I head for the hills instead. The bear is a first for me in this area. I've killed not once moving to Mayfair a few months earlier. I park at the end of a narrow dirt road and carry Riley over my shoulder deep into the woods. My ears are alert. But if there are mortals in the vicinity, they are all asleep. I carry no shovel with me. I don't need one. My fingers can impale even the hardest soil more surely than the sharpest knife can poke through a man's flesh. 2 miles into the woods, I drop Riley onto the ground and go down on my hands and knees and begin to dig. Naturally, my clothes get dirty, but I have a washing machine and detergent at home. I do not worry, not about body or even being found. but about other things I am concerned. Who is Slim? How did he find me? How did he know to warn Riley to treat me with caution? That is a good question. I laid Riley to rest 6 feet under and covered him over in a matter of minutes, without even a whisper of a prayer. Who could I pray to anyway, Krishna? I could very well tell him that I was sorry, although I did tell him that once after holding the jewel of his life in my bloodthirsty hands, while he was casually brought to our wild party. No, I think Krishna would not to my prayer, even if it was for the soul of one of my victims. Krishna would just laugh and return to his flute, to the song of life, as he called it. But where was the music for those his followers said were already worse than dead? Where was the joy? No, I could not pray to God for Riley, not even for Riley's son. In my home, my mansion by the sea, late at night, I stare at the boy's photo and wonder why he is so familiar to me. His brown eyes are enchanting, so wide and innocent, yet as alert as those of a baby owl seen in the light of the full moon. I wonder if in the days to come I will be burying him beside his father. The thought saddens me. I don't know why. Okay. We are in chapter 2. Alrighty. What do you think is going to happen? I do not need much sleep, 2 hours at most, which I usually take when the sun is at the brightest. Sunlight does affect me, although it is not the mortal enemy Bram Stoker imagined in his tale of Count Dracula. I read the novel Dracula when it first came out in 10 minutes. I have a photographic memory with 100% comprehension. I found the book delicious, unknown to Mr. Stoker. He got to meet a real vampire when I paid him a visit one dreary English evening in the year 1899. I was very sweet to him. I asked him to autograph my book and gave him a big kiss before I left. I almost drank some of his blood. I was tempted, but I thought it would have ruined any chance he would have had at writing a sequel, which I encouraged him to do. Humans are seldom able to dwell for any length on things that truly terrify them, even though the horror writers of the present think otherwise. But Stoker was a perceptive man. He knew there was something unusual about me. I believe he had a bit of a crush on me. But the sun, the eternal flame in the sky, it diminishes my powers. During the day, particularly when the sun is straight up, I often feel drowsy. Not so tired that I'm forced to rest, but weary enough that I lose my enthusiasm for things. Also, I am not nearly so quick or strong during the day, although I am still more than a match for any mortal. I do not enjoy the day as much as the night. I love the blurred edges of darker landscapes. Sometimes I dream of visiting Pluto. Yet the next day I am busy at dawn. First I call the 3 businessmen responsible for handling my accounts. So what do you think her plans are? Each located on a different continent, I tell them I am displeased to learn that my finances have been examined. I listen to each protestation of innocence and detect no falsehood in their voices. My admiration to Mr. Riley detecting ability climbs a notch. He must have used subtle means to delve into my affairs, or else he'd had help. Of course I knew he had help, but I also believe he turned against the man who sent him to find me. When he realized how rich I was, he must have thought he could score more handsomely by going after me directly. That leads me to suspect that whoever hired Riley does not know the exact details of my life, where I live and such, but I also realize he will notice Riley's disappearance and come looking for whoever killed him. I have time, I believe, but not much. By nature, I prefer to be the hunter, not the hunted. Yes, indeed. I vow I will kill those who hired Riley, as surely as I've wiped him from the face of the earth. I make arrangements through my American businessman to be enrolled in Mayfair High that very day. So she is going to go to high school. The wheels are set in motion, and suddenly I have a new identity. I am Laura Adams, and my guardian, Mrs. Adams, will visit the school with my transcripts and enroll me in as many of Ray Riley's classes as possible. It has not taken me long to learn the son's name. The arm of my influence is as long as the river of blood I have left across history. I will never meet this fake Mrs. Adams, and she will never meet me, unless she should talk about her efforts on Laura's behalf. Then, if that happens, she will never talk again. My associates respect my desire for silence. I pay them for that respect. That night I am restless, thirsty. How often do I need to drink blood? I begin to crave it after a week's time. If a month goes by, I can drink, I think, nothing other than my next dripping throat. I also lose some strength if I go too long, but I do not die without it, at least not readily. I have gone for as long as 6 months without drinking human blood. I only drink animal blood if I am desperate. It is only when I feed from a human that I feel truly satisfied. And I believe it is the life force in the blood that makes me hunger for it more than the physical fluid itself. I do not know how to define the life force except to say that it exists. The feel of the beating heart when I have a person's vein in my mouth. The heat of their desires. The life force is an animal of a much cruder density. When I suck on a human, it is as if I absorb a portion of the person's essence, their will. It takes a lot of willpower to live for 50 centuries. Humans do not turn into vampires after I bite them. Oh no. Nor do they change into one if they drink my blood. Ooh. Blood that is drunk goes through the digestive tract and is broken down into many parts. I do not know how the legend started that oral exchange could bring about the transformation. I can only make another vampire by exchanging blood with the person, and not as just a little blood. My blood has to overwhelm the other person's system before he or she becomes immortal. Of course, I do not make vampires these days. I drive south along the coast. I am in Northern California before I stop. It is late. There's a bar off the side of the road, fairly large. I make a smooth entrance. The men look me over, exchange glances with their buddies. The bartender does not ask me for my ID, not after I give him a hard glance. There are many more men than women around. I am searching for a particular type, someone passing through, and I spot a candidate sitting alone in the corner. He is a big, burly, unshaven. His warm jacket is not dirty, but there are oil stains that did not come out from the last cleaning. His face is pleasant enough, sitting behind his frosty beard, but a tad lonely. He is a long-distance truck driver. I know the type. I often drunk from their veins. I sit down in front of him, and he looks up in surprise. I smile. The expression can disarm as well as alarm, but he is happy to see me. He orders me a beer and we talk. I do not ask if he is married, though it is obvious he is, and he does not bring it up. After a while we leave and he takes me to a motel, although I would have been satisfied with the back of his truck. I tell him as much, but he pats my leg and shakes his head. He is a gentleman. I won't kill him. It is a while he's undressing me that I bite into his neck. The act makes him sigh with pleasure and lean his head back. He is not really sure what I am doing. He stays in that position the whole time I drink. I hypnotize with the sensation, which to him feels as if he is being caressed from the inside out, with the help of my nails, which to me feels like it always does, sweet and natural as making love, but I do not have sex with him. Instead, I bite the tip of my tongue and let a drop of my blood fall onto his wounds. They heal instantly, leaving no scar, and I lay him down to rest. I have drunk a couple pints. He will sleep deep, maybe wake up with a slight headache. Forget, I whisper in his ear. He won't remember me. They seldom do. The next morning, I sit in Mr. Castro's history class. My cream-colored dress is fashionable on the rich side. The embroidered hem wings 4 inches above my knees. I have very nice legs, and I do not mind showing them off. My long wavy blonde hair hangs loose on my shoulders. I wear no makeup or jewelry. Ray Riley sits to my right, and I studied him with interest. Class will begin in 3 minutes. His face has a depth his father's never imagined. He is cut in the mode of many handsome modern youths, with curly brown hair and a chiseled profile. Yet his inner character pushes through his natural beauty and almost makes a mockery of it. The boy is already more than a boy. It shows in his brown eyes, soft but quick, in his silent pauses, as he takes in what his classmates say. He reflects on it, and either accepts or rejects it, not caring what others think. He is his own person, Ray Riley, and I like that about him. He talks to a girl. Ooh. On his right, her name is Pat, and she is clearly his girlfriend. She's a scrawny thing, but with a smile that lights up whenever she looks at Ray. Her manner is assertive, but not pushy, simply full of life. Her hands are always busy, often touching him. I like her as well and wonder if she is going to be an obstacle. For her sake, I hope not. I honestly prefer not to kill young people. Pat's clothes are simple, a blouse and jeans. I suspect her family has a little money, but Ray is dressed sharp. It makes me think of the million I offered his father. Ray does not appear upset. Probably his father often disappears for days at a time. I clear my throat, and he looks over at me. Hello, he says. Are you new? Hi, I say. Yes, I just checked in this morning. I offer my dainty hand. My name's Laura Adams. Ray Riley. He shakes my hand. His touch is warm, his blood healthy. I can smell blood through people's skin and tell if they have any serious ailments, even years before the disease manifests. Ray continues to stare at me, and I bat my long eyelashes. Behind him, Pat has stopped talking to another classmate and looks over. Where are you from? He asks. Colorado. Really? You have a slight accent. His comment. That means we have 5 minutes. His comment startles me because I am a master at accents. What accent do you hear? I ask, genuinely curious. I don't know. English, French. It sounds like a combination. I've lived both in England and France for extended periods of time. I have traveled a lot, I say. Maybe that's what you hear. Must be. He gestures to his side. Laura, this is my girlfriend, Pat McQueen. Pat, meet Laura Adams. Pat nods. Hi, Laura. Her manner is not the least defensive. She trusts in Ray's love and in her own. This is going to change, I think. I think of Riley's computer, which I have left in his office. It will not be terribly long before the police come to look around and maybe take the computer away. But I have not taken the machine because I would have no way of explaining to Ray what I was doing with it, much less be able to convince him to open his data file. Hello, Pat, I say. Nice to meet you. Same here, she says. That's a beautiful dress. Thank you. I would have preferred to have met Ray without Pat around. Then it would have been easier for him to start a relationship with me without her being between us. Yet, I'm confident I can gather Ray's interest. What man could resist what I have to offer? My eyes go back to him. What are we studying in this class? I ask. Ooh, very manipulative. European history, he says. The class just gives a broad overview. Right now, we're talking about the French Revolution. Know anything about it? I knew Marie Antoinette personally, I lie. I knew of Antoinette, but I was never close to the French nobility, for they were boring. But I was there in the crowd the day Marie Antoinette was beheaded. I actually sighed when the blade sliced across her neck. The guillotine was one of the few methods of execution that disturb me. I've been hanged a couple of times and crucified on 4 separate occasions. But I got over it. But had I lost my head, I know that I would have been the end. I was there at the start of the French Revolution, but I was in America before it ended. Did she really say, let them eat cake? Ray asked, going along with what he thought was a joke. I believe it was her aunt who said that. The teacher, Mr. Castor, enters the room. A sad-looking example of a modern educator, if ever there was one. He only smiles at the pretty girls as he strides to the front of the room. He is attractive in an aftershave shaved commercial sort of way. I nod to him. What is he like? Ray shrugs. Not bad, but not good. Ray sizes me up. I think he'll like you. Understood. The class starts. Mr. Castro introduces me to the rest of the students and asks me to stand and talk about myself. I remain seated and say 10 words. Mr. Castro appears put out, but lets it go. The lessons begin. History. What an illusion humanity has of the past. And yet scholars argue the reality of their texts until they are blue in the face, even though something as recent as the Second World War is remembered in a manner that has no feeling for the times. For feelings, no events, is to me the essence of history. The majority of people recollect World War II as the great adventure against impossible odds, while it was nothing but an unceasing parade of suffering. How quickly mortals forget, but I forget nothing. Even I, a bloodthirsty harlot, if ever there was one, have never witnessed a glorious war. Mr. Castro has no feeling for the past. He doesn't even have his facts straight. And at that point, we have to stop. I have to go to work. My name is Ruben Shoup. I am the YA horror author of Vampire Juice. It is a YA mystery adventure with teen romance. If you like things like Fear Street, The Lost Boys, then you may like Vampire Juice. My link is in the bio. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.